Hey, it's Fletch. I'm Vice President of Public Safety Solutions at 911 Inform. This is the next episode in our new series, Next Generation 911 FutureMakers, Building the Leaders of Tomorrow. You know, I get to talk to some smart folks throughout my career, and while most of those folks are good at their job, there's a few that are really smart folks and do a great job. But to be a next-gen 911 future maker, you need to be part of the best folks to build the next generation of 911 leaders. Joining me today is Lisa Fowlkes, the FCC's Bureau Chief of Public Safety and Homeland Security. Lisa, welcome. Thanks so much for sitting down with me today.
Thanks for having me.
You're some of the best folks that I know.
Well, thank you.
You see what I did with your name there? I did that all by myself. Where are we on 911 today, and where were we when you first came into Public Safety Homeland Security Bureau? Let's start there.
Well, since we started in 2017, we've taken a number of efforts to improve or enhance 911. One, we have taken actions to improve the ability of first responders to be able to find 911 callers during an emergency. And we've done that by improving 911 location accuracy. We've also taken actions to ensure that people that are in multi-story buildings like offices or campus buildings are able to reach 911 more quickly by adopting rules that will allow them to dial 911 without having to first dial the prefix, whether that's a 9 or a 7 or whatever. We've also taken steps to improve 911 resiliency. The Commission has continued to require 911 service providers, though there are those carriers that actually route the 911 call to the appropriate 911 call center, to file a certification annually that they are implementing best practices to ensure 911 reliability. We also have continued to improve our ability to collect on an annual basis information on how states are using 911 fees and whether any of those states are in fact diverting 911 fees for other purposes. In fact, recently the Commission adopted a notice of inquiry examining this issue and examining whether there are additional steps that the Commission could take to discourage states from diverting 911 fees.
You know, you've been in this industry for a long time, and you've been part of the Bureau since its inception, really, and you've held just countless titles of different chiefs and capabilities. When did little baby Lisa decided she wanted to be, you know, a legal advisor and the deputy chief at the FCC in your career? Where did you get your initial inspiration?
I fell into a career in communications where I attended a job fair. I was scheduled for an FCC interview, but no one told me. So I didn't show up for the interview. But luckily, the FCC called me afterwards and wanting to schedule an interview for a staff attorney position. After the interview, I was offered a position, and I decided to accept that position because I viewed the FCC as a place where I could have an impact on something that was quite relevant to the public. In addition to which, I pretty much, from my background, already had an interest in public service. So that's how I came to the FCC. And throughout my career, most of the jobs that I have had at the FCC have been due to someone coming to me and saying, hey, would you be willing to come over to this bureau? This particularly happened when someone was creating a new bureau. So I came to the Cable Services Bureau when it was new. How I came about being in the Enforcement Bureau the first time was when my former boss, who had been Deputy General Counsel and who was going to be the bureau chief for the Enforcement Bureau, asked me if I would be willing to come back to the FCC and serve as his senior legal advisor. Coming to the Public Safety and Homeland Security Bureau was in part someone asking me if I would be interested in going to the new bureau. And also I felt that was the next step for me, given the fact that my last year in the Enforcement Bureau, I was pretty much doing public safety issues. I was overseeing rulemakings regarding the emergency alert system. When I was overseeing enforcement of rules that impacted public safety, such as violations of the emergency alert system rules, violations of 911, violations of unauthorized operations that were causing interference to public safety. So specifically for public safety, one, I was asked to come over, and two, it was the next step in the progression of my career.
No, that's really cool, and that really says a lot, because it says that you know what you're doing, and people respect that and recognize that, and that's really pretty cool. So, I noticed a blog that you recently wrote that was encouraging students of color to consider careers in telecom. How does that apply to the 911 field specifically?
I think a lot of what I said in that article applies a great deal to 911 and those who might be interested in a career in 911 or in public safety in general. There are different types of career paths in 911 and in public safety. You could be a lawyer. You could be, if you're interested in technology, you could be an engineer. If you have a accounting and finance, I don't know of any 911 or public safety agency that isn't concerned about budgeting. So there's a career path there. If you are they're interested in public service or working for the government, there's certainly a career path within public safety and in 911. And I think a lot of the things that I said to people interested in telecom would apply to those considering 911 or public safety in general. You want to do the best work that you can. You want to learn all you can about what career opportunities there are in 911 or with or more generally with public safety. To the extent that you can, you want to interact with some of the organizations that represent public safety officials. And possibly you might want to seek out those who are already working in 911 to get a sense of what their jobs are like, what their career paths have been. So I think there's a lot in that article that applies to careers in 911.
So what are you doing at the FCC to encourage that next generation of 911 leadership, specifically within the Public Safety Homeland Security Bureau? I mean, that's your baby. So, what are you doing to encourage that in your bureau? Anything specific?
Yes. When I became bureau chief, I established a professional development program with a specific focus on leadership development. And the reason why I focused on leadership is because if you want to succeed, my belief is if you want to succeed as a manager, or if you're hoping to at some point get into a senior position in a bureau or at the FCC, or really generally, there are certain leadership skills you have to have. You have to be able to have to know how to empower people while holding them accountable. One thing that people still tend to overlook is the skill of emotional intelligence. In other words, having a sense of how your team is going to react, what are their needs are, how your own emotions can impact the emotions of your team. So we set up this program, which included mentoring, training opportunities. The FCC has what it calls an FCC University that has a lot of training opportunities, particularly on leadership. We also invited speakers to come in to talk about their career paths. The other thing that I have tried to do since I've been bureau chief, and I've done this with my managers in particular, is that I try to empower people to take a leadership role or a team lead role on the various initiatives that we have. And I've encouraged my managers to do the same with their staff. So, for example, we may assign someone to serve as a team lead on a 911 initiative or on the 911 team. We will assign someone to be the team lead on emergency alerting issues. Doing that allows them to develop leadership skills, and they get the experience of leading a group or a team of others to the common goal of, in the case of 911, ensuring that people have access to a reliable and effective 911 communication system. I also spend a lot of time coaching, not just my managers, but staff. I spend a lot of time, for example, if coaching them on how to handle a particular problem. Usually, without what I often say to my managers is let the emotion go, or your knee-jerk reaction go. And let's talk about how you deal with this problem. I've also encouraged people, I've let people know in my bureau that it is okay to make mistakes. I view mistakes as opportunities to learn. And I've also encouraged them to continue to learn. And that's something I myself have been doing, is to continue to read and to take training and to just continue to learn new things.
No, that's great. How's the support from your upper management, your boss? I mean, he calls me a troublemaker, but how is he to you?
He's been great to me. I mean, the only issue that Chairman Pai and I have is his choice to root for the Kansas City football team. And of course, he thinks I'm nuts for being a fan of the Philadelphia Eagles. And sometimes that leads to the two of us getting into it on Twitter. And I think the last commission meeting that I actually presented, he started out saying something to me about the Philadelphia Eagles. But I couldn't ask for a better boss. They've been very supportive of the Bureau's public safety mission, and been very supportive of 911 initiatives in general. And as you know, Fletch, he was at the forefront for the commission in pursuing changes to the law to eliminate this idea that you have to dial a prefix or you dial 911. So he's been quite supportive of the Bureau and of me in particular.
The other fault I find with him is he constantly has an argument with me and Hank Hunt over Kansas City ribs and Texas barbecue, which we both know there is absolutely no comparison. Not only do they have a terrible football team, but they've got terrible barbecue. And some people just need to suck it up. I also have a bigger coffee mug than he does, and I think it's cup envy with me personally. But hey, whatever. That's life. So, back to the issues at hand. Off the political standpoint, though, what's your suggestion for people that are getting in the industry? I mean, they're forming their career. They're saying, this has got some interest to me. I want to go do something that makes a difference for a lot of people, and public safety and 911 specifically is a great opportunity to contribute and learn. What should someone do to plan their education and career and line themselves up to be someone like yourself or someone like the chairman, but someone who's got a better taste in football than barbecue? Not that it means anything. Just saying.
One thing I would recommend is they take steps now to learn about the area that they think they may be interested in. If it's 911, learn about 911, learn about what different career paths are in 911, learn about what people do to support 911, or what people do, what are the career opportunities for public safety in general. And they can learn that by reading books, talking to people who are already in 911 or public safety in general, to the extent possible, getting involved with organizations that represent public safety organizations, or even just going to their websites and reading about some of the issues that are important to that organization, and just reading about what's happening in that area. 2, I would say don't shy away from challenging courses or challenging internships. A lot of times, I think people in general hold themselves back because something looks just too hard or too challenging. And I would say, if it's something that you think you're really interested in, go forth. A lot of times the thing that you think is challenging, once you get in the middle of it, it may not be as challenging as you thought, or there may be places where you can get help to get you through the hard parts. So I would say don't shy away from the hard or the challenging courses or the hard or challenging assignments, because they're going to build your resistance. I would also say, to the extent possible, try to meet people that are already working in that sector. If it's 911, try to talk to people who already work in 911 to find out what their career path has been, what job do they have, what their day consists of. One of the things I will tell you is that when I first became bureau chief, that was one of the things I actually did. Because as deputy bureau chief, I focused on communications resiliency, and that and as a result of that, I knew more people in the industry, and a lot of my work related to the industry as opposed to the public safety side. So one of the ways that I went about learning more about the public safety agency's perspective on a lot of these issues was when I visited probably most of the 911 call centers in the Washington, D.C. area. And so I got a sense of what their daily jobs were like, what kinds of issues and concerns they had, how many of them got to their career paths. And it gave me an opportunity to build relationships with public safety and 911 agencies, but it also helped me get up to speed on those issues a lot quicker.
Yeah, you've got an excellent example down there, and actually, I haven't told her yet, but I've got her on the list. Karima is actually also someone who I consider a next-gen 911 future maker. From the infrastructure and architecture and the way she manages her shop down there and the mission that she has to deliver and how she delivers it are just the epitome of a next-gen 911 future maker. And what a great opportunity for you to go and observe and, like you said, learn from people that are in the job. You know, the different chairmen, the commissioners, Commissioner Rosenworcel was very, very active in visiting 911 centers. Another commissioner that I know pretty well likes to climb towers, but cellular is his gig. And you know what? I love it when I see him tweeting a picture and a selfie from 1,200 feet in the air. I mean, that says something about the current leadership at the commission, the chairman and all the commissioners and a lot of the directors like yourself. I've never seen a more involved group of people. And I've always said that the Federal Communications Commission is probably, in my opinion, is one of the best examples of public service that you can find in our government today. You take your mission, you perform your mission, and there are so many people like yourself that are looking to expand the mission and grow and farm for the future, if you will. You know, you've got to grow that next generation of leader. And I was so pleased when you accepted the invitation to this podcast, because that's exactly what this podcast is about, the next generation of 911 leaders. Thank you so much for sitting down. You're always a wealth of knowledge, and I appreciate your dedication to the industry, your insights, and everything you do.
Well, again, thank you for having me, and thank you for your service to 911 and public safety.
Well, thanks a lot, Lisa. That really means a lot to me, especially coming from you. That wraps up this episode of Next Gen 911 Future Makers. Today we've been talking to Lisa Fowlkes, Bureau Chief of the Public Safety and Homeland Security Bureau at the Federal Communications Commission. This is Fletch. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at Fletch911. Check out the rest of my blogs and podcasts at www.fletch.tv. And remember to like and subscribe so you'll be immediately notified when the next episode is published. Have a great day and stay safe. We'll catch you next time.